The sudden invasion of South Korea by the North Korean army pushed South Koreans helplessly further into the south, forcing the South Koreans eventually to call for military aid from the United States and the United Nations. The United Nations convened a Security Council meeting without hesitation, issuing a resolution calling on the North Korean army to withdraw immediately back to the north again. This did not deter the North Koreans from illegitimately advancing into the heartland of South Korea, causing irreparable damages. As a result, the United Nations resolved again on June 28th to contain the aggression of the North Koreans by military means. This was to mark the first war involvement in the UN history. Led by the United States, 16 countries volunteered troops, 5 countries volunteered medical assistance units, and 32 countries volunteered other forms of aid for South Korea. Countless young men from all around the globe joined the movement to help secure Korea and its freedom and peace. The United States also provided a unit of ground forces, following the initial Navy and Air Force assistance it provided. The first American ground unit to be injected into the Korean War was Task Force Smith. As the South Korean army became hopelessly disorganized under the North Korean attacks and retreated further into the southern corner of the peninsula, Task Force Smith was brought in to form a defense position along the Jukmyeryong Pass, even though it had not completely readied itself for combat in Korea. As a result, they were unable effectively to counter the 2 divisions of the North Korean army, backed with the Soviet weaponry. While it held its own for a while, Task Force Smith and the defense position it had erected were completely demolished in just 6 hours due to the absence of any anti-tank weaponry that could destroy the North Koreans' T-34 tanks. The battle ended in 110 casualties and 72 soldiers of the South Korean side taken as prisoners of war. This was, however, not a total defeat, but one step back taken to make 2 steps forward. The selfless sacrifices of the members of the task force made North Korea know in more than certain terms that the United States had gotten into war on behalf of South Korea and also succeeded in containing their southward advance for at least 6 hours, earning enough time to bring in additional troops for South Koreans. Having witnessed the U.S. involvement in ground combats, North Korea decided to reorganize its troops and front, slowing down the pace of its aggression. The 24th Division, to which Task Force Smith had originally belonged, as well as the 25th Division and the 1st Cavalry Division of the U.S. Army were soon injected into the war, gradually turning the war in favor of South Korea and the UN forces. As the North Koreans began to lose their momentum, the South Koreans constructed a strong defense line along the Nakdong River, from which young men from all around the world fought bravely for this foreign land, for nothing other than the cause of peace and liberty. South Korea stands on the blood, sweat, and unconditional sacrifices these young men shed, and therefore bears the mission to remember their noble spirits and magnanimity of souls forever.